Leadership isn't just about making a big speech or creating some bold strategy. It's the small intentional actions leaders take each and every day that shape the cultures of their organizations, that build trust with their teams, and drive the results that they need. Today on the Champion Forum podcast, I'm going to be sharing some practical, bite-sized habits you can start using right away to elevate your leadership impact.
This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You know, Coach John Wooden once said, "Little things make big things happen." And I have found that to be true. Today, we're unpacking the micro actions of great leadership. If you've ever wondered how to elevate your leadership without making this complete overhaul to your leadership brand, then this episode is for you. Because sometimes we're looking for the big leaps in our leadership impact. But what I have found over time is that it's the small things done consistently each and every day that can have lasting impact over the long haul. I've found that it isn't always these grand leadership things that make the big impact. And I'm not minimizing the big grand leadership things, but it's usually the small things. A leadership truth that often gets overlooked is that it's the little things, the seemingly insignificant moments that some just discard that often have the biggest impact. So I've chosen 4 key areas that leaders should always be looking to make a difference in. And I'm going to give you these micro actions in each one of these 4 areas that can strengthen you in these key areas that every leader needs to be focused on. And the first area, and maybe the most important, is the area of trust. There's micro actions that we can take that build trust with our teammates. Here's some of those ways that you can take micro actions to build trust. The first one is to be consistent in small promises. What are some ways that we could do that? Well, always start your meetings on time. This is a great way to be consistent on a promise that you made. If you say the meeting starts at 7 o'clock, start the meeting at 7 o'clock. Don't wait until 7:05 or 7:07. Make sure that you are building trust so that people know what to expect. Following up when you say you will. Hey, I'll get back to you on that. Have you ever said that as a leader? Make sure that you do. Sometimes these things are discarded, but these simple acts demonstrate reliability, and they're a cornerstone of trust, meaning you're somebody that does what you say you're going to do. Another way that we can have a micro action and build trust is active listening cues. This is a big one. There's some examples of this that I think are very practical that we can be intentional about. One would be putting your phone away during one-on-ones with your team members, or maybe repeating key points after a one-on-one debrief to show understanding. There's some best practices on how you can be intentional with this. You know, this putting of the phone away, it says a lot. You know, wait for them to sit down. They come into your office for a debrief or whatever it might be. Wait for them to sit down. And then shut your laptop. Put your phone over in a drawer and make it very noticeable so that they can see it. Yes, I'm saying take credit for this active listening cue. This lets them know you value your time with them. And this is a micro action that can go a long way. Practice this in your next conversation and notice the impact. The second area that you can take micro actions is team morale. Team morale is absolutely critical. You show me a team that is living in high morale, they're highly engaged, and I'll show you a team that's performing highly. So what are some of those micro actions that we can take to boost team morale? One that you can't miss is personalized recognition. These are things like sending a quick email or maybe a handwritten note, acknowledging somebody from your team and their specific contribution. I'm also a big fan of sending brief videos that are very heartfelt. If you've listened to this show or you've ever been in any of my sales workshops, you know I'm a big fan of these videos. And I'll tell you why. And I'll make the point by asking you, the listener, this question. How many of these videos have you received from leaders in your entire career? You know, this quick video of, hey, Brad, just wanted to take a minute out of my day and let you know, fill in the blank. This 60-second video that you send to one of the people on your team. How many of these videos have you received from leaders in your entire career? Survey says, common answer, 0. That's exactly my point. This is a small micro action that will drive team morale. Taking 5 minutes to write a handwritten note or 60 seconds to record and send a video could make somebody's week, could make a significant impact and drive the morale of your team in a very micro way. How about a 30-second check-in? You're walking down the hall, everybody's, walking from their car to the office, and maybe you just ask that employee, how was your weekend? How was your kid's soccer game? Maybe even asking if there's anything that they need from you. This creates connection without taking much time. It makes your leadership human. You're not a robot. You're actually a human. This is the small talk. And I know not many leaders, there's not a lot of leaders that would say, I'm good at this. Why? Because we're very task driven. But these small 30-second check-ins, how was your weekend? How's your family? Is there anything I can do for you? Sometimes we avoid these conversations because we're afraid somebody's going to be like, I thought you'd never ask. And we're stuck in the parking lot for 35 minutes. You're going to have to manage this. There's no question about it. But these 30-second kind of check-in, collaborative type questions, a surefire way to drive the morale of your team. Let's talk about the third area, and let's talk about performance. Performance is critical. Look, you could be the best leader in the world. If you're not driving performance, you might be out of a job pretty quickly, right? There are micro actions that we can take as leaders that drive performance. One of those is modeling desired behavior. If you want your team to embrace feedback, maybe share something you've recently learned from them. As leaders, we should be getting input from our team. Are you sharing that? Are you sharing this aha moment that you got from a member of your team, or this light bulb that went off based off of something somebody from your team told you? Model this desired behavior. If you want your team to embrace feedback, share the feedback that you've received from them and how it's helped you as a leader. This lets them know that you're listening and you're not just giving lip service. It's going to leave your team thinking, wow, they're really listening to me. My leader actually listens. They're not just asking questions, but they're literally taking feedback that I give. Always remember in leadership, what you do speaks louder than what you say. So if you're asking for feedback, let it be known. The other thing that we can do in this area is set the tone with positivity. Start meetings by sharing a quick win, or maybe expressing gratitude to somebody on the team or the team as a whole. Maybe you just come off of a really good month. Maybe somebody on the team hit a milestone victory. Whatever these things might be, what a great way to drive performance with a micro action. Start your next meeting with this approach, and you'll set the tone of engagement with your entire team. Share a little bit of gratitude, share a little bit of motivation, maybe share a quick win. So many times we get task-driven and we lose sight of this human element. And the final area that is absolutely important for every leader is the area of communication. There are micro actions. Again, we're not always looking for leaps and bounds. There might be small things that you can ingest into your leadership impact on a daily basis that really doesn't require a ton of time. So what are some things that you can do to enhance your communication in a micro way? Clarify expectations is a good one. Summarizing action items after a discussion to ensure everyone is aligned. We always have these conversations. You've heard me stress the power of the one-on-one. As soon as you're done with that, recap everything, summarize the action items. Takes you a very micro amount of time, but it'll have big impact. Clarity is kindness. Don't assume that people always know what you mean. This summarize, it gets everybody on the same page. This small action will set your people up for success. Not to mention that it will absolutely set the table for meaningful feedback in the future. The next thing that you can do in this micro action to enhance communication is timely feedback. Timely feedback is so important, and it carries a lot more weight than waiting too long. Instead of waiting for formal reviews or the next scheduled one-on-one check-in, provide quick feedback right after observing something notable. Look, I recently invested an entire episode discussing the importance of this. And if you haven't already received a copy of your positive feedback habit tracker, make sure to go back and listen to that episode to get your free copy. But remember, what gets recognized gets repeated. Timely feedback carries way more impact than giving feedback when you get around to it or have time. If you see something that needs recognized, take a moment and recognize it. What gets talked about, what gets praised, it gets repeated. Timely feedback is a micro action that will drive your communication impact. There it is. 4 areas that you can focus on with micro actions that will make a huge difference in your leadership impact. I want to challenge you. Take one of these micro actions from today's episode, commit to practicing it every day for a week. And I would like to hear about the changes that you notice. Always remember, leadership is built in the moments that most people overlook. Don't underestimate the power of these small micro actions. Until next week, stay consistent with the little things and keep turning the pressure into potential.
The Champion Forum Podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.